exciting. Oh, that's all up to you. You go for it. I believe in you. I promise I will try not to make every talk so that you have to run around with the microphone like yesterday.
I'm gonna make an announcement so you can't. All right, hi everyone. We're gonna go ahead and get started. Welcome to the session 17, Trauma-Informed Care, Putting Theory into Practice. We're so glad you're here, whether it's online or in person. My name is Carol. I'm an intern with OPRA right now, and it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker today. But before we do that, I do have some housekeeping announcements. This year, we're introducing our new way to give feedback. That's QR codes on the table, as Andrea is displaying now. You're going to go ahead and scan that with your smart device, and then it'll take you to our survey, and you can fill that out. If you prefer, you can also still fill out the survey that's in the back of the magazine. And then for each session you attend, you should scan that code so that we can get you your CEUs. If you need CEUs, this survey is the only way to show you attended that session and is proof for reporting purposes. If you're not requesting those CEUs, we still ask that you take the survey just so that we can get your feedback and make our sessions as good as possible. We would really appreciate any feedback. And then for those of you online, we'll drop the survey link into the chat. If you do need DODD CPDs, we have a printout in the back that you can grab for your own personal use. And if you need help after the session, I'll be around, or you can stop at the registration booth for additional assistance. And then I will be running around with a microphone. So if there are any comments or questions throughout the presentation, I'm going to bring the microphone to you so that our friends online can hear as well. So now we're going to go ahead and introduce Andrea here. Andrea Jaworski is the Director of Residential Services for Assured Health Services. Andrea's educational background is in forensic psychology, and prior professional experience is in criminal justice and mental health. Andrea is trained in trauma-informed care practices, and her primary passion lies in helping others with mental health and disabilities build their skills and thrive in their community while living their best lives, whatever that means for each individual. Please join me in welcoming Andrea.
Hey. So since she just told you all about myself, 2021, am I right? Yeah, great year. Thought last year was the dumpster fire. It might be this year, but I've really enjoyed being here so far and talking to so many people, because how healing is it to know that you're not alone and that you have other people going through the same thing as you are? Because I'm sure a lot of us in this room don't have a lot of people that we can talk to about that in our workplace, because then we're talking to people it's probably not appropriate to vent to. So it's great to be here. So she said a little bit about me. So I studied forensic psychology, went to the criminal justice field, worked there for about 5 years, but there's only so many times that you can hear a guy who's been in prison tell you how good you smell or ask you how things are going before you get burned out and you're done. You just got to take off, out, peace. Burned out, left, no notice. Worked in telemarketing for a little bit because I didn't know what I wanted to do. Went to mental health, where I came in contact with disabilities for the first time. Because in this field, we don't know about disabilities unless you grew up around it, right? You know somebody. It's an invisible field. These people, we have been failed by the system for years. They've been traumatized, they get re-traumatized. We act like they don't exist, right? I went to a career and intern fair recently to bring light to our field. And a lot of students said, wow, I didn't even realize this was a thing. We're not out there. We need to be out there more. Now's the time, social justice warriors, right? So speaking up for our field. So then I went to the county board. Now I'm at an agency because our CEO took a chance on me to lead people. Don't know what he was thinking, because when he started, I sure did want to fire a lot of people. But then I learned how to work with other people, our DSPs and everything like that, and meeting people where they're at to train them up. So I'm very passionate about trauma-informed care. I got 2 dogs, I held a goat. Just some fun pictures, because I don't really like to be serious, but this is kind of a serious topic, right? So one of my coping skills is humor and pretending that none of the bad stuff exists. So I'm going to share a little bit with you today. You guys know a lot about trauma-informed care, or you probably wouldn't be here. We talk a lot about trauma-informed care and what that is. So I just want to talk about a young lady that we've worked with for a couple years who's doing phenomenal and who we decided to listen to and treat as a person and focus on our trainings to help her live a better life. If you have any questions, I really like to have conversations during these. They didn't like me very much yesterday because we were just talking and they couldn't keep up with the mic. So just raise your hand. I'm good with just going with the flow and having conversation. I'm also very socially awkward, so I'm probably going to jump around a lot. So click. Oh, we practiced this. Stefan wants in the room. We practiced this. It's not working. Oh, shoot. Oh, so this is Jessica. This is who we're going to talk about. Jessica is, let's see, 26 years old. She came to us from another county. She went into a group home. Then she came to us where we got to work with her and her roommate. We're going to talk a little bit about when I started, because I started 2 years ago. So that's where I start my conversations from 2 years ago, because that's my baseline. That's how I know where they were versus where they are now. And we are going to talk a little bit about trauma and her trauma. So if that triggers anyone, you can walk out of the room, things of that nature.
I was this troublemaker girl that is always running away, getting into strangers.
So getting into strangers' cars. So Jessica is somebody who 2 years ago, when I started working with her, she would wait for staff to use the restroom and then she would get her purse and leave. She would leave in the middle of the night while staff were sleeping. So we have sleep staff, so they don't need awake staff. She would want to go somewhere. And I think a lot of times our response to that was, no, or your roommate doesn't want to go. People were power struggling. So she would be like, screw you, I'm leaving. And then she'd be missing. I don't know what order my slides are in, so we're going to jump around a little bit while I tell her story. Jessica. Okay, so Jessica reported hearing voices. This is one thing to know about Jessica too. Her mother, so I like to really look at things from psychological point of view, trying to think outside the box, trying to get to know everyone from every point of view. When I first met her mom, mom works in behavioral mental health, right? She works with people who have paranoid schizophrenia. She works with people who have these intense mental health symptoms that Jessica was reporting experiencing. So to this day, yeah, I heard you. Yes, that's where my mind was going. So I'm still not clear on if, because Jessica today no longer hears the voices, right? And if we know anything about schizophrenia, those don't really go away. No, correct. We don't just heal from schizophrenia. It's a part of who we are. So Jessica reported hearing voices. And I didn't know, I had this idea in my head that, maybe that's because that's mom's field, that's her expertise, are these things that she kind of learned growing up. And this is kind of how she coped to get whatever type of things that she needed. She reports a history of sexual abuse by her uncle. But mom doesn't believe that because it's her brother, right? And this is not to put mom down. I don't think she's a horrible person. So I want to make sure that that's clear. Mom's wonderful. But that's her brother, right? That's her baby brother. There's no way that ever happened. Brother now has passed away. So there's no way to know what the truth is. So, but you learn more about Jessica as we're going to go today. At least that's my hope. If at the end you guys know nothing about Jessica, just let me know where I screwed up and we'll talk more. Every time she would go home to visit her parents, she would come back and she would run away. We learned that a lot of this was she was receiving a lot of negative feedback. A lot of you shouldn't be doing this. You can't do this. You need to do this. A lot of those negative things were being told to her. So imagining what that does. And then not feeling like you have that power, not feeling like you have that control, not feeling that you're safe. Because if you remember yesterday, I said like the word behavior, I don't like it. It's because it's a form of communication. It definitely belongs in our field. But when describing a person, it's communication. They're communicating something. She's communicating that she doesn't feel safe. Something's happening. She doesn't feel safe. She doesn't feel like people believe her. And DSPs were just there. They were, when I started, they were not an active part of her life. They started reporting issues with some of their staff. So I would start showing up, and that was when you would see staff in a chair and, oh, you know, they're bundled up in a nice blanket, they're hanging out, they're on their phones. That's how they were choosing to be that active part of someone's life that, as we know, does not make a difference. We are not connecting with people, and our people, their social circles are so small. And when you're building resiliency, we know that something that's so important there are social connections. Social connections help us heal, people who we can relate to, people who we can trust. That helps us feel safe. She didn't have that. And a lot of our people rely on our staff. And when they just sit there and they're on their phones, or they're just sitting on a couch, or they're just not engaging, we're not helping them build those social connections. So this is, let's see what Jessica says.
Can you tell me why you would do those things? What was going on?
Well, back then I was still so immature and unstable.
Why were you unstable? What was was there anything going on?
Yes.
What?
I still had these voices inside my head every single day, all day, every day, telling me to kill myself. So I did those things, which I'm not very proud of. But the good news is I got some help and I no longer do those things.
Okay, we're not going to play that one. Wait, please don't start. If it starts, feel free to pause it. Jessica, I want to make it clear she never has made a suicide attempt. She has been in the hospital many a times because, as we know, some of our people, that becomes a safe place, a coping place, a place to escape, to just get away from whatever's going on at home. So she would say those things. She also was dating somebody at the time who, if I have time, I will talk about a little bit today as well, who we've also done these things with. They called themselves the power couple, and they would get together, have big dramatic breakups, make plans to go to the hospital together. You call the police, is what you say, that's what you say. Because our people know how to get into the hospital when they want to, whether it's for the delicious food, whether it's just for a little break because they know their boyfriend or girlfriend's there, or they're trying to make a social connection. They're trying to meet people to be their friends because we don't give them those opportunities. It's somewhere that I think that we continue to look for those ways. I think a lot of times it's, they'll go to day program, or we'll have this disability focused dance, and there's nothing wrong with these things. I'm not saying there's anything wrong, but just talking about more community based interaction to build those social connections. So our staff, who, it's a revolving door, are not the ones that they rely on, so they are not traumatized every single time they leave. Or God forbid something happens, we have to move them to a different home, or they do something and we have to let them go. That affects them. Something else I was gonna say. So Jessie ran a lot, and I think it is because nobody believed her. People weren't patient with her. People were not listening to her. So she would, I think the one night, it was 10:30 p.m. Obviously, I'm on call 24 hours a day to my managers who are on call, and I get a call from my manager. Jessie took off. I'm like, well, where is she? So I call her cell phone and she's like, hello. And I'm like, where are you? She's like, I'm at the bar. I was like, okay, well, someone's going to come get you. Is that, whatever. But she took off from staff because I said, what happened? Her and staff got into an argument because she didn't want to go somewhere. The staff member didn't. Jessie got pissed. Jessie left. Jessie's at a bar. Jessie's hiding from staff. She was like, oh, she was in here looking for me. And Jessie's not stupid. She avoided the staff member. So I credit a little bit to us because I choose to listen to our individuals, listen to what they're saying. They're very insightful. They will tell you what's going on. If they're saying something about a staff member being mean, if they're saying something that they don't like somebody, if they are acting in a way when only that person's working, it's a good indication that it's not a great fit. Doesn't mean that that's a bad staff, right? Just means that that's not a good fit for them. So I'm on the phone with her. My manager's on the phone with the staff. We're talking, me and my manager are calling each other back and forth. So, and I'm like, well, I'm going to stay on the phone with you while you're getting in the car. He's on the phone with the staff member. He and the staff member hang up. I stay on the phone with Jesse. Jesse gets in the car. Staff start yelling at her. I don't want to deal with this. I can't deal with this. This is ridiculous. Yeah, let's go. We got to go home. Like, this is not okay. I don't like that. So I like to practice what I preach, right? So I put on my shoes, got my sweatpants on, I go out to the house. Because I hear Jessie crying on the phone, because then she starts saying, Andrea, I am so sorry. I'm not telling her that I'm upset with her or disappointed in her, right? We are a safe place. We catch people when they fall. We are there. People are allowed to make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time. I probably made 5 mistakes since yesterday. I'm going to continue to make mistakes. It's okay. So I go there. The staff member starts talking to me. I said, no, we're good here. You can go home for the evening. Well, no, but no, just go home. We're not talking about this here. This is not an appropriate place to do it. Just go home. Send her home. I stay until the 3rd shift gets there. I don't bring it up to Jessica. If she wants to talk about it, she can bring it up. We will talk about it. I'm not there to re-traumatize her and to talk about what just happened that is so fresh in her mind when she can't process at the moment, right? Number one, she has a processing delay, so that's going to take a little bit longer. So we can't talk about it right away. We need some time. We need some time to think and reflect, and just know I'm not mad at you. I'm here for you. I was just scared for you because I just care about you so much. I don't want anything to happen to you. And I always tell my people, because if anything happened to you, I'm really going to have to hurt somebody, because that just is really going to affect me. Like I might end up in jail, because I want them to know that I'm going to protect them. No matter what, I'm going to protect you. That's our job. That is our primary role. And no matter what with COVID, no matter what with the administrative bullshit that's always happening, we can't staff this, we can't staff that, right? Our jobs are our people. Our jobs are to keep people safe. They're the reasons we have houses and cars and can take care of our families. It's them. We would not have anything if it wasn't for them. So they always, regardless of COVID and the crap and the vaccine mandate, they're the most important thing, because we know that in the end, why are we all upset about the mandate? Because they're the ones who are going to suffer, right? We'll live, we'll survive. They're going to suffer. So we have to help them and let them know that it's okay to be real with our people. They get it. They do. They might learn just a little bit slower before they get that concept, but they will get that concept. Staff approach then.
What are things that staff would say in the past when you would take off?
Why, Jesse? Why were you doing this to me? Because they worry about me a lot. And they're like, no, my baby, my baby.
So she's the best. Number one, if you ever have a chance, if you're ever in Toledo, look me up. We will go and visit her, because I could talk to her forever, because she's insightful. She can tell you why. And once you get to know her, you know how to read between the lines with her and what it is that she's saying. Our staff were erratic back then. They were, we've changed a lot in the last 2 years, because they were just mother hens, right? Oh no, but she has a disability, she's gonna get hurt. Like, just chill, just relax. You're gonna get hurt by someone if you keep mothering them like that, because they're gonna get sick of your crap. I get hit, and then I'm gonna be like, well, it's kind of your fault. Can we talk about this so it doesn't happen again? Like, because who hasn't had a staff member get hit that was not the staff member's fault in some way? Something was happening. Violence is never the answer. I'm not condoning violence. I'm not saying that someone gets hit and I like laugh at them and say, ha, 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 got what you deserve. Maybe sometimes. It depends. Depends on where we're at in that process of employment. I think we all know what I'm talking about. Everyone has those moments. So yes, we had to read between the lines, right? Communication. What is Jessie communicating, right? She is communicating through what she is doing that she doesn't feel safe. She does not feel safe. And when she leaves, she goes to a bar, she's looking for social connection. She gets into a car with strangers. She looks for social connection. She meets people online and gives out her address. These are all things for her socially that is missing. It's so important for her, that connection piece. But then there's also the unsafe sexual activity, right? There's the giving out your address to men that you don't know, getting into the car with men that you don't know, which I think goes back to that abuse. We know a lot about people who have been sexually abused and how that plays out. And in our community, if you don't believe them, so that we can work with them to help them heal, these are the things that we see. I mean, we saw her. This might be in a later slide, at which point we'll skip if it is, because this is a good story. Mom doesn't believe her, right, about the uncle. Jessica went to a workshop, sheltered workshop, accused a coworker of sexual assault, was so convincing. I will tell you, I'm not saying that I'm blaming a victim here, was so convincing that he went to a DC for 2 years. He was found guilty, but he was not appropriate for prison. So he went to a DC for 2 years before she recanted her statement. Like, he was sentenced there for 10 years. He did 2 years. She recanted her statement so that she had made it up after she had done some work on herself. So I had some very convincing things to say. So when you hear those things, it's very important that we listen to what our people are saying. And we even took a team approach of, I told mom, I said, okay, fine. So maybe she wasn't sexually abused by her uncle. But what if we approach the situation as if she had, because she believes, regardless of anything, that she was abused, right? So we have to help her heal. We can't just keep saying that didn't happen. There's no way that happened. Jesse, you're lying. Why are you lying? Especially when someone makes accusations like that. And then there was a situation, the power couple, remember I talked about the power couples back again, because they were on and off like 8, 9 times. They're back together right now, by the way, so we're all just holding our breath. But she would accuse him of sexual abuse, but we serve him 24 hours a day he does not have alone time. So we were able to say, yeah, that's not possible. Like, we were right there. Like, we wouldn't let that happen. we've never heard no screaming, any kind of anything like that. So all things that point, this is about trauma informed care, not just sexual abuse, but how traumatizing. We all know, ladies, never mind. We won't go there. I'm just going to stop my thought process now. So I started popping though out into the home more often, started working with staff. We started talking a lot about those trauma things with staff. We started talking a lot about how would you feel if, let's think about if this were to happen. Yes, it's hard to work here right now. How hard is it to be Jessica right now? What is happening in her mind when she feels the only thing that she can do is take off, right? And go seek that safety, because how can we build that? I assigned a male residential manager. Okay. I did this for a reason, and I was very nervous when I did this. He has a clinical background. He's worked in the field. I was very nervous for him because I didn't want accusations to come out towards him. And in the beginning, I wouldn't let him go out unless we had staff who were working and those types of things. I did this though to help Jessie learn appropriate male relationships and that men can be safe. You can build a safe relationship with a man, and they're not all men are going to hurt you, or not all men are people that you just seek sexual favors and gratitude out of. And it's worked wonderful. Connor's awesome. His name's Connor. He's great. He's extremely patient. Jessie and her roommate love him. Everyone that he works with loves him. So I think it has worked out really well, thankfully, because it kind of went really bad. And I trained her residential manager on trauma-informed care. So I think what we do is we attend these trainings. We have to trickle it down. So what I did is I gave all the information that I had to Connor, but we did it directly related to Jessica and his other people. And then he trained the house managers on these things, right? And then he trained the DSPs on these things during meetings. We started having monthly meetings where we set goals. Once a month, we say, there's a lot going on in this house. Let's pick one thing. What is our goal for the month that we are all going to work on for the next month pertaining to Jessica or pertaining to Sally or Jim or whoever? Pick one thing. What needs to improve and how are we going to work together to make it happen? Because I think a lot of times we get very overwhelmed too. And our staff get very overwhelmed. You're telling me I got to do this, this, and this, right? Pick one thing at a time. Let's fix it. Let's move on. Okay, and at the next month, be like, where are we at with this? That is fantastic. Because we know transitions are important with our people. It takes time. So if we're going to try and make a change and all work on something, start with one change at a time, give it that time, and then see what we can do next. So training. I actually do trainings for all of our staff on Zoom. We all do trainings on Zoom these days. I miss in-person trainings. This is why I'm so like ridiculous the last 2 days. I'm full of energy from not having human interaction for the last couple of years. I love in-person trainings. I think that's how you really connect with people. I think that's how you really get the conversation going. I think that's how you get the people to not be responding to emails while they're on a Zoom training, to not be, whatever. Hi, Zoom people. I'm not judging you for not being here. It's fine. I respect you. I have people here. It's cool. But I do trainings at my job. I love to do trainings. I love to talk, obviously. Not a surprise to anyone in this room. But one of the trainings that I put together was just a trauma-informed care 101 training for our DSPs. Give them a baseline, go over the hand brain, go over all of those different things, how to help people feel safe and supported, and giving them those choices. And there's natural consequences that come along with all choices, and that's okay. That's okay. We're there to make sure they don't burn the house down while we're teaching them to cook, right? We're not there to keep them like wrapped in bubble wrap. But one of my trainings with the trauma-informed care training, I rotated every 3 months. So we do the trauma-informed care training every 3 months, so that any new staff we have, any staff who couldn't make it to the last one, it's there for them. And I changed the times too. 1 month my training's at 10, the next month it's at 3:30. You change it up to go with the shifts. Granted, for our people working 90 hours right now, somehow they still make it. So we rotate. The trauma training is the only one that I rotate, that I do not change, that I keep the exact same topic, because it's so important that our staff understand that. And we have to remember that we have to help our staff understand that. And yes, we provided natural consequences. Jessie, you're almost out of clean clothes. You want to do your laundry? So we gave her the right to make these choices, to be in control. We gave her a voice and we gave her choice. Those are very important things that we have to give our people. She didn't want to do her laundry. Staff be like, she don't want to do her laundry. She has no clothes clean. Okay. Then she's not going to have clean clothes. She'll smell pretty bad. And then the next day or 2 days later, I don't have any clean clothes. Well, do you think you might want to do your laundry today? That might be a good idea. If you don't do your laundry, you don't have clean clothes, right? That's a natural consequence. If I don't do my laundry, I don't have clean clothes. I'm going to smell a little bit. Dishes. Are our people capable? Do we have people who are incapable of doing dishes that we have to do that for? Absolutely, we do. 90% of our people can do their own dishes. They just don't, or they try to kind of like con staff, especially new staff. Well, I don't know how to do that. Yeah, yes, you do. Yes, you do. Well, I don't know what to tell you then. You're not going to have a glass to drink out of. Pretty soon we're going to have flies. It's going to start smelling pretty bad. And oh man, we just got it's staff. Staff are the ones that are really hard to convince of this because they don't live like that. How can we let her live like that? It's really important to get them on board with natural consequences. She spends all of her money. She gets checks, right? Every month her payee sends her monthly checks for her spending money for the week. We just give it to her because that's what she wants. And we say, hey, you might want to hang on to these. If you cash them and you spend them, you might run out of money. She's done that a couple times. That's okay. If I overspend, my account goes negative. I don't just run out of money. So trainings. We believed her and we told her we believed her. We told her we were there for her. We told her we were going to support her. We changed the language from what's wrong with her to what happened to her. This was probably the most important piece for staff. Staff were getting so frustrated. I mean, they were, and it's really hard when you're in that situation to step back and see it from that outside perspective. So that's where we come in, that because they can't, you can't. I have a manager who has been working like in the homes all the time, and they have a hard time, and they're trained in this and they know all about this stuff. It's hard when you're in there. I've had a hard time being in there when I'm working a shift and just seeing it without being able to take a step back. It's hard. So we have to help support them and point those things out. But there's nothing wrong with Jessica, right? She is who she is. We are all individuals. We are all unique. And we are ourselves, and she is allowed to be whoever she wants to be. And we're just going to support her in being who she wants to be. And she's awesome. So we involve staff, we involve their voices, we listen to them, we talk to them, we let them complain, we let them curse at us, we let them take it out on us, because that meant they weren't going to take it out on her. Go ahead, get angry at me. That's fine. Let's talk this out. Let's talk about it. Our staff have a lot of feelings. Our staff have been really traumatized, whether it's from work or from their personal lives. Our staff live and work in poverty. And those are things we have to remember. And we involve Jessica. Jessica's involved in her trainings of staff. We bring a new staff in and we have Jessica tell them about herself. And we have Jessica say what she is able to do for herself and then what she needs help with. Hey, can you tell them what it is that you need some help with? She can do all of that. And then we kind of fill in the blanks. Hey, did you tell them how much alone time you have? Hey, did you tell them if you want to go walk to Taco Bell, you just need to let them know and make sure you have their number. So we've helped her fill in those blanks so that then she's free labor, man. She's training staff on her. Well, we're there for it. It's awesome. Change is hard. Staff resisted. Family resisted. We had to change a lot of staff to get the right people in there. And we all know from the paperwork and the human resources side, it's not always easy to just move a staff or get rid of a staff just because the personality is wrong. Normally they got to do something. So we were doing a lot of shuffling and a lot of moving before we got those right fits. We needed a really strong leader in there. We had somebody who was managing another home. We brought her in to do a dual house manager role over it and made all the changes. Well, get yourself a strong house manager, passionate, a house manager who's willing to learn, because she and I butted heads a lot in the beginning too. But now she's my favorite person. She does great. Get yourself somebody strong, work with them, educate them, right? In between the phone calls that you're making to recruit staff, give them a call. And a lot of thinking had to change. It's hard to change somebody's thinking. It's hard to shift their mindset. It's hard work. It's being open to the conversation. Let them say what they're gonna say and then say, what's the worst thing that happens if we try this? We're gonna try it. If it doesn't work, what happens? We're back to the drawing board. We're gonna try something else. And then we're gonna try something else, right? We're no different than medical doctors who all they do is throw a drug at someone and be like, well, let's see if this fixes it. And if it doesn't, we'll try a different one. And if it doesn't, maybe we'll add another one instead of discontinuing that one, because that's how our people get on 20 meds at once, right? So that's what we do. We try things and we see what fits. I should have been a doctor. We talked about romantic relationships. We talked about safe choices. We talked about what is the progress of a relationship. You meet someone, you don't just invite them over to your house. Maybe every now and then, but this is not regular practice. So we had like a dating card that we made that was like wallet sized for her, so she could keep it on her just as a reminder of safe dating rules. So that she could date, she can build those relationships, hopefully safely. That is something we are still working on. We're not quite there because the power couple's back together again, and that's not a safe relationship. And we believed her because of the accusations. I believed her because although mom didn't believe that brother hurt her, she encouraged us to help Jesse press charges on the boyfriend that we know for a fact didn't abuse her. Right. She encouraged us to help Jesse press charges on anyone else that she accused. Something happened to this girl. Accusations just don't come out of nowhere. Either number one, it happened. Or number two, well, it happened in the past. It's a coping skill.
What is the difference today on how staff talk to you and treat you versus 2 years ago?
Well, they talk to me like I'm an adult now. They're like, Jesse, can't they make me feel like an adult now. And they talk to me like one. And sometimes when I do the wrong thing, they're like, Jesse, no, that's bad. But
We're still working on it.
and
Are you allowed to make mistakes?
yes.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure we know you're allowed to make mistakes. Do you learn from those mistakes?
Yes.
Are staff still there for you even when you make those mistakes?
Yes.
Do you feel like they still care about you?
Yeah.
So it's important, again, I can't say it enough. I know this talk is not as fun as yesterday's. Yesterday was a blast. But trauma, what's fun about trauma? There's not much. It's not fun when people have been through a lot of bad shit. It's hard and it brings us down, or it brings up our own trauma. And it's just hard. So it's very important. It was a big shift in thinking for our staff as we were replacing them. And we actually found that some of our younger staff did this a lot quicker than some of our staff who have been in the field longer, to get their mindset to change. That mind shift to these are adults that are allowed to make these choices. We know what Jessie can't do for herself. She can't drive a car. She probably shouldn't go into the grocery store by herself because she's going to come out with spending all of her food stamps on M&Ms, and we need to really encourage her to get some like chicken and potatoes. And she's just there so that then strange guys don't come over to her apartment and steal everything that she meets online. So we are there to help her build skills. We are there to help her increase her independence. So maybe one day she doesn't need us that much. And we can go, and my theory is I can go and I can help somebody else that needs it. I like a challenge. And once it becomes not a challenge, we've won, right? It's so rewarding in residential when you do all of the work and you see that change. It's such a reward when you improve somebody's life and know that you had a part of that, and know that you didn't make like huge mistakes, because sometimes you question your mistakes and you think, or you question your choices and you think you made huge mistakes. You think I just made the biggest mistake in my life. I'm going to ruin somebody's life. What was I thinking? And it ends up not being a mistake. And you're just breathe a sigh of relief that you didn't just ruin somebody's life. So relationships build resilience. This is her roommate, Rihanna. That is Darnita in the middle. Darnita is a godsend. She is phenomenal. She's that person. If I could clone someone in a talk said picture of staff you would clone, that's who it would be. I want her all of the time for everything. She's phenomenal. She thinks of these two as her daughters. She's one of those people who does not see our people as folks who have disabilities, which is a good, bad thing, depending on the situation. But she's been amazing and she's made all of the difference. She's the one who has helped Jessica feel safe because she's also kind of a badass. You aren't going to mess with Darnita. I wish I had the picture of her hunting. I mean, she shoots guns and stuff. So like no one's going to mess with her, and she rides a motorcycle, but she's amazing and she has the best heart. So we focused a lot on relationships. Jessie started a day program. She used to go to a day program. There were a lot of people there. She would take off, right? There's just a lot of activity happening for her. Found a smaller day program, the SAS did, SSA. And she did amazing. She built a lot of relationships and a lot of friendships. And that's really when we started seeing her blossom, because she had things like 2-3 days a week. She was going out, and then we asked if she could do some HPC with them. We're good. Can she go out and do some of those relationships types of things in the community with a couple of other people that they were working with? And that worked out really well for her. And her roommate are hilarious together. These are the best roommates ever. Like they're amazing.
So who is Jessica today?
Well, today I've got matured a lot more. I got the voices still with. Today,
The voices are still there?
no.
Oh, good.
No voices, no anything. I am happy, happy, happy.
I love Jessica. She's my go-to person if I have questions, like, or if I want to interview somebody, like Jessie's the one that I go to. She's so insightful. Give the transitional period the respect that it deserves. Okay, it's not easy. The transitional period is when you think you have broke yourself down so bad and made the biggest mistake of your life because you tried something different to help somebody and it's not working. It gets so much worse before it gets better. It does. Change is hard. There are many a times where I've changed things and I've shut my door and I have sat there and I have thought, and I never see it when I'm in it. I never see it when it's at its peak, when that change is just so close to happening. Push through those moments, push through that very, very hard moment, because that's where the magic happens, is right after that. That's what I've learned. Push through that moment where you think, if one more thing happens, I'm done. I can't do this. Push through that breaking moment, because then things start to get better. I promise. Well, I don't promise, because you may have made a big mistake. Who knows? But push through just a little bit longer. Take a step back and see what's happening. It's hard when we change things. It's hard when we try and take somebody who's in their 20s or 30s to help make them feel more safe. There's a resistance in that, because that's out of their comfort zone. We're not used to feeling that. I'm not used to feeling like somebody respects me and wants me to make my own choices. Everybody does it for me. We're not used to that. Change is hard. We're going to push against that, especially when we have been so traumatized that we know what's out there when we trust somebody. We know what happens when we drop our guard. We have to give that transition period respect. I always say it's 30 days. 30 days. Change something, do it 30 days. If it doesn't get better at the end of the 30 days, let's reevaluate and let's try something new. Involve the person in that too, though. Like, hey, I'm here. I want to help you feel safe. Can you tell me what you need? How can I help you? Please just tell me, because I want to help you. So remember, push through when you're exhausted and questioning everything you know, or maybe thought you knew. That's it. That's the breaking point of the transition period. And it's also where all the magic happens. Think of anything that you've ever tried to do. So I used to run. I don't look like it now, but I used to run. And I was training for a half marathon. And the hardest run was that first 4 mile run. And then I think there was like a 5-mile run and then a 6-mile run. And then finally at like that 8-9 miles, like you get like that like runner's high that everybody talks about. You get that moment where it becomes easier, and it's because you push through all that pain and whatever I did to my legs and my feet, because everything was really sore at that time. I was really hungry. If you ever run, you're gonna be really hungry. So remember I talked about that provider she got HPC from and went to the day program. She was at a Mud Hens game, Toledo Mud Hens. She wanted something to eat. Jessie is not like, nobody was paying attention to her. She got up, she went to a concession stand and got something to eat. Well, they couldn't find her. Oh my God, where is she? She comes back with her food. They were like, where did you go? What did you do? That's so unsafe, blah, blah, blah. But she was safe. So instead of freaking out, and I'm not putting this other provider down, they did what they had to do or how they felt at the moment. For me, I would have been like, okay, so I'm really glad that you did that and it showed that you were safe, but let's talk to your SSA to see if we can get you some alone time, so that if you want something, you let me know that that's what you're going to go do, and you can come back and do it, or you can go do it and then come back. But we have to talk to your SSA. We have to work on that. They served her notice and we asked for community alone time. So they served her notice and we said, hey, Michelle, can we then get her like 30 minutes in the community of alone time? So if she's gonna leave, she lets staff know, hey, I'm walking to Taco Bell because it's right down the street. I'll be back. We, can set it up. We make sure she has her cell phone. She has staff's number. We have her number. So that whole punishment model and just taking something from someone before we've tried everything, it just doesn't work. Right? We can turn that into a positive, because she didn't go out and like pick up a guy. She didn't get into a stranger's car. She hasn't done that in a while. So we asked for community alone time, right? There was an incident. I feel like the last incident that ever happened with Jessie where she took off was the worst one. It was during COVID, the start of COVID. Country shut down. Can't go anywhere. She's getting stir crazy. She left. It was like 2 a.m. And at that time we had a protocol. If she leaves, we're going to call the police. If we can't find her, we're going to wait for their instructions. So I'm on the phone at 2 a.m. like, we'll call the police. Whatever they say right in the incident report, I'm going back to bed. Okay. Because she's always come home. But then I'm laying there and I'm like, all right, it's COVID. Her usual spots, even if they were open, the bar's closed. I'm tired. I was like, but I can't let anything happen to her. It's like January, it's freezing outside, all these things. So I just have like all these bad things. I was like, God, if something happened to her, even though the ISP says to do this, I'm going to feel awful. Like, this is just like, love this girl. She's amazing. So on sweatpants and a hat, and I didn't have a bra on because I wasn't going to take the time to do all that. Right, ladies? Once it's off, it's off. Got in my car with my dogs, and went looking for her. I stopped at gas stations. I went into Kroger, which was one of the places that was open. I went to restaurants. They were all closed. I couldn't find her. I get a call like an hour later as I'm driving around from my manager saying she's back home. I was pissed. I was like, you've got to be effing kidding me. Something bad, because I was sitting there like, something better happen to this girl because I can't find her. Like, I better not be looking for, like, whatever, all kinds of things. You know what happens in your head when you're looking around for things. So I go to her apartment. I'm so mad. The police are there. Left my dogs in the car, and then they ate something that they shouldn't have of mine, which pissed me off even more. But so I walk in though. I don't tell Jessie that I'm mad though, right? We don't do that. We can't tell our people when we're angry. You have to hide your emotions, and we have to help our staff hide their emotions. And she just said, oh, I'm so sorry again. And I said, no, I was just worried about you. I was out looking for you. I brought my dogs out to look for you. Like, I just didn't want anything bad to happen to you. Like, you're good. You got to let us know if you're leaving. You can't, I'm just scared. What happened? And she ended up getting into a stranger's car. Now, granted, they didn't keep her, they brought her back. Luckily, but we have to tell people that we care. It's okay to be vulnerable with our individuals, because that's the only way to make them comfortable, because they're vulnerable with us all the time. So you have to tell them, don't get mad in front of them. Oh, I was angry. Then I got in my car and I was like, and you effing ate this. Like, I don't even remember what it was that they ate, but they were puppies at the time. They ate everything. It's like, this was a huge mistake, but she was safe. And that was what was important. I wanted to let her know that. I don't care. You did something. Was it a great choice? No. But as adults, we don't always make great choices. I have a whole lot of people I've dated that were awful choices. So it's all good. She started out with an hour of alone time in the past 6 months. 3 months later, she got 2 more hours of alone time. She started leaving to go to Taco Bell. Just staff would come back and there'd be like 5 Mountain Dews from Taco Bell over here and some taco wrappers. They're like, what the heck? You're not supposed to go anywhere during your alone time. That was our agreement. We don't know if you're going to be safe in the community yet. So we asked for that alone time because she was just going to Taco Bell. Like, would be like, Jesse's heading for the border during her alone time. Can we get her some Taco Bell? Can we get her some alone time? And we did. Gave her that alone time with a thing of, hey, if you're using this during your 2 hours of alone time, can you just call the office and let us know? Did she do that right away? No. Yeah, this few ridiculous incident reports, but she was safe. So, and then as we worked with her, she started doing that. So we knew when she was using her alone time. And then today, something cool happened this just happened last week. See if it plays. Click. Click. There it is.
And now, do you have alone time now?
Yes.
What's getting ready to happen?
I am getting this remote monitor thing,
When is it going to be here?
and I fall asleep.
So you get to be home all by yourself without staff for an entire shift?
Yes.
Awesome.
What are the times of the remote?
I think it'll be
Didn't
10
know.
p.m. to 8 a.m. or 10 to 10. It might be 10 p.m. to 10 a.m. So it might be 12 hours.
Awesome.
Isn't that so awesome?
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
It makes me happy and excited.
You know that you did this for yourself, right? Nobody did it for you.
I know.
You make really good
I'm
choices.
happy about myself.
You've been very safe.
Well, also, I've been trying to build up my self-esteem and self-confidence,
Mm-hmm.
and that's gotten better, which helps a lot.
Good. I'm proud of you.
And my mom and my dad's like, oh, work on that self-esteem. You can do it, girlfriend.
Good job.
We work with some really cool people, right? We all have like a Jessica in our lives, and we all have people who we've seen immense change in because we put the time and the effort into them, and it's because we care. And then we're all like, I want to do this again. It's addicting. Like this is addicting in the social work field, right? Helping someone and helping them heal. Like, I just want to do it all the time. I wish we were in a pandemic. The future for Jessica, I would love to see her start exploring voc services so that then she could build those skills for employment. Because for her, she is someone that has to take steps. She can't take a really big leap. I think part of it is fear for her because we're going too fast and we have to do it at her pace. More friendships, public transportation. I would love to see her be able to use our public transportation system because I think that she's capable. More remote supports. I think we do have some backup hours built in just in case. One good thing that happened from COVID, has been our use of remote supports and not relying so much on staff and really looking at the people who could benefit from it. Because I think it gives them more self-worth when they have more independence. So her to be more independent, have some support, have her be happy, and have some self-respect for herself. We don't talk about her trauma. It barely comes up anymore when she's talking. It does. She has these imaginary children that she yells at, and sometimes her children have revealed they've been abused and things like that, but we don't dive into it. I think sometimes our individuals do really good with that indirect support on those things. We don't have to directly talk about it, but we supported her through that. And it's not easy to do. I think our staff, Darnita, the amazing Wonder Woman who I want to clone, I mean, she hated her mom for the longest time because they're taking in the secondary trauma from listening to these stories about family and things that have happened, and it affects them. It affects us all. I'm sure we've all been affected by a story that we've heard from someone that we care about. So Jessie doing one of her coping skills, a little self hug. Sorry, that was awkward. Do you guys have any questions? Can you, no, you can't have her. She's not gonna need any support soon. You don't want her. There's no funding here. I know, she's amazing, right? And her roommate is amazing too. Like they have this, like, their mental health plays off of one another. Like Jessie will be like, ah, and her roommate will be like, oh, Toby, stop that. I'm like, what's going on? She's like, that's just my son. He bit her leg. Like they just like play off of one another. It's like the most amazing. Like I sometimes go over there and just hang out on the couch while they just do their thing and be themselves. So questions? Besides, can you steal my person? No. All right. Well, that's it. That's my number, email address. If you ever want to get a hold of me, let me know. I'm always willing to come out and do some trainings. I have a max drive time, so it really depends on where you are in the state of Ohio. So just hit me up and let me know. And thank you guys for everything that you're doing. Like maybe the pandemic will end someday, but at least we can all get together and have this time to know we're not alone. So that's it. Bye, people online.